Have you ever tried approaching someone who seemed completely out of your league? Someone so intimidating and unapproachable that most people would rather steer clear? That's exactly the situation with Sun, a 17-year-old transfer student with piercings and a fierce demeanor, who also happens to be the younger sibling of a former top student. Her intense gaze unsettles nearly everyone at her new school, earning her a reputation that keeps most students at a distance. Except, of course, for one guy, Nam-hul. Hul, who is the same age as Sun, has just learned about her transfer to their school. One day, his friend Sean points her out, and while Sun is simply minding her own business, something about her captures Hul's attention. He isn't fazed by the ominous rumors surrounding her or the whispers that she might even have connections to a government agency. To him, she's simply magnetic. Ignoring both the rumors and her icy demeanor, he boldly approaches her. Caught off guard by his greeting, Sun snaps back, assuming he's looking for a fight. But unfazed, Hul does the unexpected. He confesses his love for her right then and there, exuding the confidence of someone with nothing to lose. Usually intimidating and reserved, Sun is completely thrown off by his sudden declaration. Despite her tough exterior, she finds herself flustered and unable to respond. Trying to escape the situation, she attempts to leave, but Hul, undeterred by her obvious disinterest, follows her around, insisting he deserves at least a chance to talk. His relentless pursuit gives off an almost creepy vibe, as he seems convinced that his admiration entitles him to a conversation. After an exhausting chase, Sun finally stops, worn out from trying to shake him off. She can't believe how persistent he is. Still determined, Hul asks outright if she'll go on a date with him. Furious, Sun assumes he must be joking or pulling some kind of prank. Why would anyone be interested in her, the scary new girl? She refuses to believe he's serious. But Hul keeps pushing, even going so far as to call her cute, which only embarrasses her further and sends her into a frustrated rant, accusing him of being completely out of touch with reality. In response, Hul begins to explain why he's so drawn to her. He recalls an earlier moment from that morning. Like a total overachiever, he had arrived at school 2 hours early. On his way, he had spotted Sun petting a stray cat on the street. That unexpected, gentle moment stirred something in him. Hearing this, Sun is mortified, realizing he had witnessed a rare, vulnerable side of her. But Hul continues, describing how, once he got to class, he had found her asleep at her desk. In his eyes, she looked even cuter, and he admits he ended up staring at her for a good 10 minutes, something even he acknowledges sounds a bit creepy. Sun wholeheartedly agrees, thoroughly weirded out by his confession. Still, Hul presses on, telling her how much he admires the very things that intimidate others, her piercing gaze, her edgy style, even her piercings. He showers her with every compliment he can think of, desperately trying to win her over. To him, Sun is his ideal type. However, she is far from thrilled by the idea. Eventually, she snaps. Frustrated, she punches him so hard he goes flying. Calling him a pervert for his obsession, she tries to put an end to his nonsense. But in classic rom-com fashion, she accidentally trips and falls right on top of him. For a girl who has never had any experience with romance, the accidental closeness is overwhelmingly embarrassing. Meanwhile, Hul is perfectly content with his fate, lying there as if he were a soldier who had accepted his end. Realizing the awkward position she's in, Sun's face flushes red with embarrassment. Scrambling to her feet, she hopes he'll finally leave her alone. But despite her best efforts, his words linger in her mind, replaying long after she's gone. Sun wasn't prepared to be called cute. That one simple compliment had pierced through her usual defenses, leaving her more confused than frustrated or angry. When she meets up with her friends Ian and So, she's flustered and unable to shake the memory of her run-in with Hul. Though she tries to play it cool, even the mere thought of dating him irritates her. Her friends quickly pick up on her discomfort and start teasing her, wondering if it's that guy who has her so worked up. They're thrilled, even calling her a cutie and joking about marriage, as if she'd ever consider marrying Hull. Meanwhile, Hull returns to class with his face patched up. His friend asks him what happened, but he casually brushes it off, claiming he just tripped. Despite the punch she threw, Sun finds herself feeling a little guilty for going that far. Hull, however, doesn't seem bothered in the slightest, acting as if nothing unusual had happened. All Sun wants is a quiet, peaceful high school life, so she hopes Hull will stay away from her. But to her horror, he ends up sitting right next to her in class. Startled, Sun jumps up, demanding that he take another seat. But Hull calmly explains that he's simply sitting in his assigned spot. As it turns out, Sun hadn't even checked the seating chart, and in an unfortunate twist of fate, she's now paired up with the very guy who chased her down the day before. Her dreams of a peaceful high school life are officially ruined. That evening, Sun heads to the bathroom to calm herself down, reflecting on Hull's unexpected compliment. She even attempts to make a cute face in the mirror, but immediately cringes at herself, whining in embarrassment. Her friends' teasing and Hull's persistence have left her in a state of inner turmoil. Just as she exits the restroom, she's startled by her older sister, Suang, a fit, intimidating big sister type who never hesitates to call Sun out when she's acting strangely. When Sun hesitantly asks if she looks cute, Suang is baffled. After a pause, she bluntly asks if Sun has a boyfriend. Completely flustered, Sun reacts instinctively, smacking her sister without thinking. Unbothered, Suang simply hands her a trash bag, reminding her it's her turn to take it out. Before leaving, she advises Sun to grab some ice cream on her way back. Still weighed down by her thoughts, Sun heads outside to throw out the trash, feeling nothing but anxiety and confusion. Ever since meeting Hull, she hasn't been able to stop thinking about that embarrassing moment when she had accidentally fallen on top of him. It keeps replaying in her mind over and over. No matter how much she tries to push it aside, his image continues to haunt her. As if on cue, Hull suddenly appears out of nowhere, finding her once again. Annoyed, she's about to brush him off when she suddenly feels a sharp pain in her ankle. Seeing her discomfort, Hull rummages through his bag and quickly patches her up. Fortunately, it's only a minor muscle strain, so she just needs to rest. She still isn't sure why her ankle hurts, but Hull suggests it might be from when she tripped at school, a memory she was desperately trying to forget. Sun tries to dismiss him, wondering if this guy has any sense of pride after she clearly rejected him. Yet, he remains completely unfazed, as calm as ever. Feeling a bit guilty, she mutters an apology for punching him in the face. Hull only laughs. Shrugging it off as just a minor injury, he insists that by tomorrow, he won't even feel it. In fact, he claims to have endured much worse during his workouts. S is surprised to learn that he's into fitness, and honestly, so am I. Nothing about his appearance really suggests that he's a fitness enthusiast. H then explains that he recently resumed his training and was actually on his way back from the gym when he happened to find us. She's confused, though, because he had previously mentioned taking a break from his fitness routine. Instead of offering any real explanation, H smoothly shifts the topic, skillfully dodging her questions. He quickly resumes showering her with compliments, telling her how happy he is to have run into her. Sun, clearly unsettled, tells him that she's not the person he seems to think she is. She doesn't view herself as cute or charming and suspects that he has an idealized perception of her that is far from accurate. She even fears that if they continue talking, something bad might happen between them. Surprisingly, H doesn't dismiss her concerns. Instead, he acknowledges that she might be right, that things could go wrong, or that he may have completely misunderstood her. Still, he insists that despite all of that, he likes her. He shares that he learned a lot from a past relationship where he and his partner simply weren't compatible, making him aware of how mismatched values can drive people apart. He admits he knows very little about her life and understands that she might end up pushing him away because of it. But even so, H believes that liking someone is a journey worth exploring. He simply asks for the opportunity to get to know her, without pressure, just spending time together to see if they truly connect. Sun is more thrown off than ever by his words. She heads home, still reeling, and forgets to pick up the ice cream her sister had asked for. When she reaches her room, she slams the door shut and lets out a frustrated scream, overwhelmed. Her older sister, Soo-young, is now convinced that her little sister is dealing with boy troubles. Alone in her room, Sun reflects on H's sincerity and unexpectedly finds herself actually considering his offer instead of outright rejecting him. She wonders if maybe she does want to give it a chance, but at a slow pace. H, thrilled by even the slightest positive response, grabs her hand and thanks her repeatedly, overjoyed at seeing her show any sign of warmth. He can't stop calling her cute, which at this point has become her greatest weakness. Struggling with her emotions, Sun finds herself not wanting to go to school the next day. Unfortunately for her, she ends up there anyway after a sleepless night spent thinking about him. H, noticing her tired expression, asks if she's okay, which is ironic, considering he's the reason she's feeling so out of sorts. As their teacher enters the class to begin their PE session, she instructs them to review the list of clubs posted on the board. Their school offers a wide variety of clubs, and Sun has yet to decide which one she will join. She wants to make a careful choice. Her friend notices her zoning out and playfully teases her, suggesting she's daydreaming about a perfect romance with H, as if they were characters in a love story. S, however, is desperately hoping that she doesn't end up in the same club as him. As for H, he's also struggling to decide which club to join. Sun's friend, seeing the potential for romance, can't resist teasing them both before leaving them alone. Curious, H asks S which club she's interested in, suggesting she pick one that aligns with her future career goals. This prompts him to ask about her dreams for the future. Caught off guard, Sun hesitates before answering, almost automatically responding with kindergarten teacher. Just then, another student interrupts them. This new arrival, a girl with bright blue hair, enthusiastically invites them to join the swim club. Sun has no idea who she is, but it turns out she's Hyeon, the senior captain of the swim team, currently busy recruiting new members. However, Sun isn't focused on Hyeon's pitch. She's more distracted by Hyeon's swimsuit, which seems a bit unconventional. When S questions it, Hyeon insists that the school has no specific rules regarding swimsuits, though S doubts she's being entirely honest. Hyeon quickly shifts her focus to H, intrigued by his athletic potential. Learning that he's skilled at sports, she starts listing all the benefits of swimming, emphasizing how important physique is in athletics. Sensing potential in H, she persistently tries to recruit him, insisting that the swim team could further develop his athletic abilities. Meanwhile, Sun watches the exchange, unable to picture H shirtless and flexing in a pool. Though, if she's honest, the idea of him getting an even more toned physique does pique her interest. Frustrated by her own thoughts, Sun abruptly cuts into their conversation. Her irritation only grows when Hyeon assumes she's H's girlfriend. Poor H is caught in the middle of this awkward misunderstanding. Still determined, Hyeon turns back to H and continues pushing for him to join, confident he has a lot to gain. But this time, H firmly waves off her suggestion, making it clear he isn't interested. Hyeon handles his rejection gracefully, letting him know the offer is still open should he ever change his mind. After she leaves, H suggests that he and Sun explore a few more clubs together. Surprisingly, Sun agrees, though she makes it clear that she won't be joining any club he chooses. As they begin walking, H tries to revisit the topic of her dream job, which Hyeon had interrupted earlier. However, S is still too embarrassed and shuts down the conversation. Wandering through the halls, they eventually cross paths with a group of senior band members promoting their club. Spotting Sun, they immediately think she has the perfect vibe for their group. One of the band members, Swan, tries to strike up a friendly conversation, but Sun shuts her down with an icy glare and a dismissive response. The harsh rejection leaves Swan feeling slightly disheartened, regretting that she even tried to reach out. Eventually, Sun and H arrive at a recruiting room for an unusual club. Sun suggests they check it out, and upon opening the door, they find the room unexpectedly dark. To their shock, they stumble upon an unconscious person lying in the storage area. H rushes over to help, and just as the girl starts coming around, she gets flustered and reflexively slaps him, knocking him out cold. Now, with two people unconscious in the room, Sun seriously starts reconsidering whether she should transfer schools again. The mystery girl introduces herself as Hyen, a senior who had fainted from stress, a feeling Sun can all too easily relate to. Hyen explains that she's the founder and sole member of a club called Love Research. The club's purpose, she says, is to help students explore love and relationships, one of the purest emotions. This unusual club concept takes both H and Sun by surprise, as neither of them had expected to find such an eccentric club, especially one on the verge of disbanding due to low membership. Hyen goes on to explain that she has struggled with social anxiety. Kanon had struggled to make friends ever since she started high school. While other students quickly found their groups, she remained alone. Inspired by a poster about love and relationships, she decided to take a chance and start her own club, hoping it would help her connect with others. However, reality hasn't quite met her expectations. The club is still struggling, and she has barely managed to talk to anyone to promote it. As she reflects on her loneliness and inability to change, her vulnerability strikes a chord with Sun, leaving her momentarily speechless. Sun asks how many members are required to keep the club running, and Kanon reveals they need at least 3. Exchanging a look, both Sun and Hull are already on the same page. They're ready to join. Kanon is stunned, unable to believe they chose her club over so many other options. Sun explains that she understands the difficulty of personal change. It often starts with self-blame and a deep longing for others to recognize your struggles. It's a feeling she knows all too well, making her feel responsible for helping. Meanwhile, Hull's motivation is simpler. He just wants to be in the same club as Sun. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Kanon is deeply touched by their unexpected kindness. She never imagined that 2 underclassmen would be so willing to support her, and their gesture lifts her spirits completely. It's a reminder that even small acts of compassion can make a huge difference to someone feeling isolated. As they proceed to sign up for the Love Research Club, a club supervisor informs them that although they've met the minimum membership requirement, there's still one more hurdle. They must fulfill an activity requirement to keep the club officially recognized. This specific requirement, however, proves to be a challenging one, especially for Sun. Kanon explains to Sun and Hull that in order to be part of the Love Research Club, they actually have to be a couple. Sun immediately calls out how ridiculous this requirement is, but the topic of couples leads Kanon to admit she has someone special in mind too. Unfortunately, she has only admired him from afar and has never even spoken to him, making him ineligible to join. Always ready with a plan, Hull suggests they simply pretend to be a couple. After all, who would know? Sun is skeptical, but Hull takes the lead, assuring Kanon that they're now dating, securing their place in her lonely little club. As they prepare to act the part, Sun can't help feeling uneasy, especially as she wonders if they'll be expected to prove their relationship with a kiss. To her relief and slight embarrassment, it doesn't come to that, and Hull manages to get them admitted without any unnecessary dramatics. And so, they officially become members of Kanon's peculiar love research experiment. Later, just as Sun realizes she has forgotten her umbrella, it begins to pour. Her sister isn't answering her texts, and her friends are busy, leaving her stranded. Kanon appears and asks why she isn't heading home. When Sun explains, he offers to share his umbrella. Reluctantly, she hesitates. This would make them look even more like a couple, leading to more misunderstandings. She suspects Hull is just trying to create cute moments between them, making her even more wary. However, as Hull digs through his bag, he realizes the twist. He has also forgotten his umbrella. Now, they're both stuck in the rain with no shelter. With the downpour worsening, Sun suggests they make a run for it rather than wait around, figuring they'll get soaked anyway. They count to 3 and dash off together, sprinting through the rain as thunder rumbles above them. Eventually, they find cover under a convenience store awning, but by then, they're already drenched. Sun remarks that an umbrella wouldn't have helped much at this point, given how soaked they are. Meanwhile, Hull awkwardly tries not to stare as Sun's wet clothes have become a bit see-through. Luckily, she is wearing a black shirt underneath, so she isn't concerned, but his obvious shyness catches her off guard. Embarrassed by his fumbling attempt at politeness, she lightly slaps him to break the tension. A moment of silence settles between them, and it becomes clear that Sun is on the verge of catching a cold. Seeing an opportunity to help, Cannon offers to let her stay at his place until the rain clears. Naturally, Sun's mind jumps to conclusions, suspecting he has something inappropriate in mind. However, Hull quickly reassures her that he's genuinely concerned about her getting sick. Reluctantly, she accepts, sensing that his offer is sincere. Once they arrive at his house, Cannon suggests that Sun take a shower to warm up and avoid getting sick. The suggestion makes her uneasy, but she calms herself and decides to go along with it. Hull leads her to the bathroom and even offers the use of the bathtub if she wants. Grateful for his thoughtfulness, Sun takes a warm bath and finds herself reflecting on her growing feelings, surprised at how comfortable she feels around him despite her usual guarded nature. After the bath, Hull calls out from outside the bathroom, letting her know he has left some clothes for her. When she steps out, she is wearing an oversized shirt that belongs to Hull, paired with pants he borrowed from his sister. The sight of her in his baggy shirt is almost too much for Hull. He can't hide his delight at how cute she looks. However, when he mentions that he tossed all of her wet clothes, including her underwear, into the washing machine, Sun panics. Furious, she pounces on him, accusing him of crossing the line. Hull insists he didn't actually look at anything, he just threw everything in the machine without thinking. Right in the middle of their argument, Hull's sister, Nam Hannah, walks in, catching them in this extremely awkward moment. At 24, Hannah is a kind and caring older sister to Hull. Both Sun and Hull quickly apologize for putting her in an uncomfortable situation. Hull feels a bit embarrassed, but Sun is downright annoyed. Watching the two bicker makes Hannah smile. It's been a long time since her brother has brought anyone home. She even calls Sun cute, which, if you haven't caught on by now, is her biggest weakness. It's a compliment that flusters her every time. Hull backs up his sister's words, adding to Sun's embarrassment. Noticing Sun's slightly mismatched outfit, Hannah inquires, and Hull quickly explains the situation. Blushing, Sun sheepishly asks if she can borrow some clothes from Hannah, leaning in to whisper that she, isn't wearing any underwear. Shocked, Hannah promptly gives Hull a light scolding. She then helps Sun find a better-fitting outfit, and the two quickly bond over the exchange. It's remarkable how easily they become friendly, as if they've known each other for ages. For the first time that day, Sun actually laughs, feeling a warmth she hadn't expected. Hannah's hospitality stands in stark contrast to her earlier stormy mood when she had been drenched in the rain and reluctantly stuck at Hull's house. Now, she is utterly charmed, finding Sun to be an adorable cupcake and even joking about wanting to adopt her as a little sister. She hugs Sun tightly, nearly overwhelming her with affection. Just then, H calls out to let them know that Sun's clothes have finished drying, meaning she can head home if she's ready. Hannah is disappointed, having hoped they would have more time together, even planning to order food to enjoy with her new little sister. As Sun expresses her gratitude for the warm hospitality, Hannah eagerly exchanges contact information with her, hoping to stay in touch. She also thanks H, though she is clearly flustered, and then hurries out of the house. Both Hull and Hannah are left speechless, mutually agreeing on one thing: Sun's cuteness is undeniable. Curious, Hannah asks Hull if he has feelings for Sunday. Normally, most guys might deny it or get embarrassed, but H openly admits his interest in her. As confident as ever, Hannah is supportive and hopes things work out between them since she really likes Sun too. They decide to order food, though Hannah insists on treating Sun, but she hesitates when it comes to paying for her brother. Typical sibling rivalry. Later on, Hannah can't resist telling her friend Sun about the whole encounter, describing every detail of Sun's interactions with Hull. Little does she know that Sun's little sister is actually Sun, the very girl who had just visited her house. Meanwhile, as Sun cooks, she listens to Hannah casually joke that her relationship with her sister is ugly, surprising them both. The next morning in class, Sun's friends feel guilty for leaving her on her own the previous day, so they offer to treat her to ice cream to make up for it. They also notice something different about her. She smells like a new shampoo. This is suspicious since Sun has used the same shampoo for years. The scent is unmistakably similar to Hull's, leading her friends to piece together what must have happened and allowing their imaginations to run wild. After gym class, their PE teacher makes an announcement about White Day, a traditional holiday on March 14th when guys give gifts to the girls who gave them chocolates on Valentine's Day. Hull seems to have completely forgotten about it, while Sun is hit with a wave of anxiety. She's unsure of what to do, especially since the school year starts in March, meaning Valentine's Day was skipped. White Day is now the perfect opportunity for new couples to start their relationships, but for Sun, it's a nightmare. She hadn't expected to feel so much pressure over giving Hull chocolates, and now she's not sure how to proceed. The night before White Day, while doing her skincare routine, Sun found herself wondering what kind of gift she should give H. She considered a few ideas and, since she loves cooking, she eventually settled on making him some homemade chocolates. It seemed like the perfect idea, except for one problem. She ended up falling asleep and completely forgot about White Day. Now, as couples around her exchange candies and gifts, Sun feels increasingly anxious, unsure of how to find the right moment to give him her present. A girl nearby notices Sun's panicked expression but doesn't say anything. Meanwhile, about 20 minutes earlier, Hull had been slumped over his desk, half asleep, hoping to get candy from his crush, Sunday. His friend Sean tries to comfort him, reminding him that he's very much single and probably shouldn't expect anything from anyone. However, Hull can only think about the possibility of getting some candy. Frustrated, Sean walks away, accidentally kicking Hull's bag in the process. To his surprise, something falls out of the bag. It's a small gift box, but it's not candy. In fact, it's something a bit more personal. Sean is left sweating, wondering just how close Sun and Hull have actually gotten without anyone realizing, while Hull remains oblivious to the whole scene. Just then, another girl approaches him, trying to get his attention. Meanwhile, Sun's patience is wearing thin as she contemplates just giving up on her plan. Her friend Ian, sensing her frustration, asks what's bothering her so much. Sun ends up spilling the whole story, explaining her dilemma about the gift. Ian, seeing this as a minor issue, suggests she could just give the chocolates to him tomorrow, but Sun insists that waiting would send the wrong message. Ian advises her to relax and treat it like a simple gesture between friends, but even she can tell that Sun is trying to downplay her feelings. Then, Ian casually mentions that Hull received candy from another girl, leaving Sun completely stunned. She hadn't expected to hear that and feels a pang of jealousy. Ian cleverly adds that if Sun doesn't seize this chance, Hull might start paying attention to someone else. This warning strikes a nerve in Sun, who realizes she's more bothered by the idea than she'd like to admit. She tries to rationalize her reaction, telling herself it's silly to be jealous, especially since they're just friends, but she can't help herself. She glances over at his desk and spots a gift box, partially hidden, confirming that he did indeed receive something from someone else. Sun feels shocked, betrayed, and a little heartbroken. When Hull wakes up, he notices that Sun is acting distant and dodging him all day. Confused, he senses that something is wrong but has no idea what it is. During their PE class later, H ends up as the last person standing on the red team, facing off against Sun, who's on the opposing team. Confidently, he declares he'll take down everyone on her side, which annoys Sun to no end. Fueled by frustration, she throws a powerful dodgeball straight at his face, knocking him out instantly. Hull's overconfidence backfires, and after that, Sun avoids him even more. After school, Sun is relieved to have made it through the day without having to interact with Hull. She knows she's being harsh with him, but she feels it's necessary. Just as she's about to leave, though, Hull appears out of nowhere, scaring the life out of her. He confronts her about why she's been avoiding him, apologizing if he's done something wrong and gently asking for an explanation. Sun hadn't planned on confessing her feelings, but after hesitating, she finally blurts out the reason. She saw the gift box on his desk and assumed he had received candy from another girl. She didn't want to cause trouble by talking to him. Hull, utterly baffled, explains that he actually didn't receive candy from anyone. Confused, Sun brings up the gift box, insisting it was right there in his drawer. Hull finally remembers and clarifies that the box is actually a gift he bought for his ethics teacher, whom he's close with from middle school. Sun is left speechless, realizing she had completely misinterpreted the situation. H then recalls that a girl from another class had approached him that day, but it was only to ask a question, nothing to do with gifts or candy. It finally dawns on Sun that Ian must have been exaggerating. From the very beginning, it seems that Zen had been subtly orchestrating events to bring S and Hull closer together, perhaps even giving them a little push. Now that H finally understands the misunderstanding, he feels relieved. It was all just a trivial matter. He had been genuinely worried about S and even apologized for any stress he may have caused her. In the end, however, S comes to realize that she was the one who had overreacted. Hull's calm and understanding nature only serves to highlight her own insecurities, making her feel a little guilty for being so moody and distant. Determined not to retreat into her shell, Sun takes a deep breath, gathers her confidence, and sincerely thanks Hull for always being there for her. Nervously, she hands him the homemade chocolates she had prepared, even admitting that he was right all along and that the misunderstanding was entirely her fault. Though embarrassed, Sun's heartfelt gesture shines through, and Hull, deeply touched by her thoughtfulness, is so overwhelmed with emotion that he nearly cries. Her sincerity and cuteness completely take him by surprise, making him so happy that he doesn't even want to eat the chocolates. He wants to preserve them forever. But H has something for Sue as well. He pulls out a small, store-bought chocolate from a vending machine. Compared to hers, it seems like a simple and thoughtless gift, but he promises to make it up to her with a proper Valentine's present next time. His words make Sun's heart flutter. While she feels a little disappointed by how casual his gift is, she's still relieved that she got the chance to clear the air and express her gratitude. She also feels an unexpected happiness knowing that he didn't receive any candy from anyone else. As she sips on a chocolate drink, she brushes off her feelings, realizing just how much she enjoys the sweet taste. The day of club activities arrives, and Hyan, the president of the Love Research Club, is brimming with excitement. With membership numbers previously low, her club had been on the verge of being disbanded. However, thanks to Sun and Hull, they now have enough members to keep it active. Inspired by their support, Hyan is determined to step up and take her responsibilities as club president seriously, even if her naturally airhead and overly cheerful personality makes it a challenge. Today is extra special because they are finally getting their own official club room. Eager to show Sun and Hull the space, Hyan approaches the door enthusiastically. However, as she gets closer, she hears voices coming from inside the room. Quickly, she realizes that it's Sung and Hull, and the things they're saying make her blush and feel incredibly awkward. It sounds like they are having an intense private conversation, something she hadn't expected to overhear. Hyan's imagination goes wild, convincing her that far more has developed between them than she initially believed. Feeling flustered and embarrassed, she hesitates to enter, wondering if she should give them some space. She reaches a breaking point, worrying that things might be moving way too quickly. To be fair, some of their dialogue does sound a little sketchy and unsettling, leaving Hyan creeped out and causing her to run in the opposite direction. Not even the president of the Love Research Club was prepared for this level of affection. Meanwhile, inside, Hull was simply dealing with a minor skin tear. Sun had advised him to use a nail clipper, but instead, He chose to handle it his own way, making the situation more awkward than it needed to be. Both of them started wondering what was taking Hyun so long to arrive, only to later realize they needed to clear up some pretty wild rumors she had overheard about them. The scene shifts to PE class, a dreaded experience for an introvert like H. Unfortunately, a basketball rolls near her. She tries to play it cool, but being unused to social interactions, she doesn't even bother introducing herself and simply tosses the ball back gently. To her surprise, the boy remembers her name, Hanil, her one and only crush. They're in the same grade, and he's the boy she has been smitten with since their freshman year. They first met during a fitness test when Han was completely drained from exhaustion. It was then that she realized just how terrible she was at sports. Just as she was about to collapse, Hanil stepped in to help her complete the training. Han didn't want Hanil's performance to suffer because of her, so she was confused as to why he had chosen to assist her. For Hanil, though, it wasn't about performance records. He simply saw someone in need and chose to lend a hand. It was a green flag the size of a football field. Through his kindness, she learned his name, but before she could introduce herself, Hanil already seemed to know her. He even found her flustered reactions endearing, marking the first time anyone had made her feel noticed and special. That's how Hyun fell for him. However, this sweet memory is over a year old. Since then, Hanil has continued to shine brightly, always helping people and focusing on self-improvement, while Hyun struggles with her shyness and inability to express her feelings. She has come to accept the reality that she's not the one for him. But one day, something unexpected happens. Hanil notices her, leaving her completely shocked. He had found her keychain near the storage room door and wanted to return it to her, assuming it was hers since she was the last person to enter the room. True to his kind nature, he even shows interest in the character on the keychain. Hyun is utterly baffled that he recognizes Magical Girl So Young, a character from a webtoon she adores. The series features an ordinary office worker who becomes a mage to improve her financial situation. As a big fan of webtoons, Hyun can't help but geek out about it. She starts talking nonstop about the webtoon, diving into every detail with enthusiasm, leaving Hanil completely stunned. Realizing she has been rambling, Hyun is mortified, convinced that she has embarrassed herself and that Hanil must dislike her now. But just when she thinks her love story has come to an abrupt end, Hanil suddenly raises his arms in excitement, declaring his love for the same webtoon. Thrilled to have found someone who shares his interest, what seemed like the end of Hyun's story unexpectedly turns into a plot twist. As for Hanil, he is a second-year student, a star athlete, and a naturally popular guy who barely has to try to make friends. But that's only one side of him. Hanil had learned the hard way that people often judge each other's interests, and that what is considered normal differs from person to person. Feeling unaccepted, he had hidden his personal interests for a long time. One day, during P, while heading to a convenience store for a drink, Hanil spotted a keychain near the storage room. Curious about who it belonged to, he turned and immediately noticed Hyun in the distance. He paused his game to follow her. As a child, Hanil had a deep fascination with animated cartoons. They were his escape from boredom, a world of fantasy that brought him immense joy and entertainment. It allowed him to temporarily leave behind the limitations of reality. Over time, he made a hobby out of borrowing mangas from his friends, and it eventually became his favorite pastime. But one day, his parents became aware of his deep fascination with manga, and while they tried to be understanding, they still encouraged him to explore other hobbies. Coming from a different generation, they couldn't fully comprehend his interests. Faced with this tough reality, the young boy had no choice but to abandon what he loved the most. Hanil attempted to conform to what society considered normal, suppressing his true passions. Until now, Hyun had never imagined that someone as seemingly perfect as Hanil could have struggled silently, just as she did. The two began bonding over their shared love for the webtoon Magical Girl So Young. For the first time, Hyun felt as though she was having a genuine and fulfilling conversation. Hanil seemed to enjoy the discussion just as much as she did. After a brief pause, Hyen gathered the courage to ask something that had been on her mind. She wondered why Hanil had decided to confide in her about such a personal secret. His answer took her by surprise. He admitted that he had been observing her for the past year and felt that he could trust her, even though they had barely spoken before. It was an unusual feeling, but being around Hyen made him feel at ease, and they shared similar interests. Hanil revealed that this was the first time he had ever shared such a secret with anyone. Strangely, instead of fear, he felt comforted. Suddenly, he made an unexpected request. He wanted to talk to Hyen more often. Acknowledging that she might decline due to her quiet and reserved nature, he assured her that he genuinely wanted to get to know her better. His words left Hyen stunned. Of course, she would accept her crush's invitation. She was overjoyed to discover that they shared the same interests and feelings. Inside, her thoughts raced, urging her to seize the opportunity and grow closer to him. However, her shy personality held her back. She doubted her ability to navigate relationships and feared the unknown. The conflicting emotions left her feeling overwhelmed and lost in thought. Noticing her silence, Hanil began to worry that he had been too forward and apologized, feeling guilty. This, in turn, made Hyen feel bad. Gathering her bravery, Hyen finally accepted his offer. Elsewhere, S spotted Hyen sitting quietly in a corner and decided to approach her. To her surprise, H was the happiest she had ever been. In an odd tone, Hanan whispered that she had made a new friend. However, her strange delivery led to some misunderstandings, which Hanan had to clear up later. When Sun finally caught up on what had happened between Hanil and Hyen, she was amazed at how much they had both changed. It was a heartwarming conclusion to their story. However, Sun was suddenly startled by a loud noise coming from the science lab. She rushed inside, only to find herself caught in an explosion. Initially, it seemed as though the experiment had failed, but when the dust settled, it was revealed that Sun's hair had grown dramatically. Against all odds, the hair-growing potion experiment had been a success. The potion's creator was Darham, a member of the Science Research Club and an exceptional student at their school. Darham was a brilliant scientist who had even won national awards. S immediately recognized her because, on the first day of school, H had confessed his feelings for her, making her name impossible to forget. Curious, Sun asked about the other members of the science club. Darham explained that she was the only one. The club had been created specifically for her due to her exceptional talents, so she didn't have to meet the usual member requirements. Some considered this favoritism unfair and wondered how someone like H would feel in a similar situation. Changing the subject, Darham asked S about her experience with her newly grown hair. The potion had worked so well that her hair felt completely natural. Darham reassured her that if she didn't like it, she could always cut it. For someone as talented as Darham, the logic behind the experiment made perfect sense. Sun admitted that having such long hair again felt strange, as it reminded her of her older sister. However, she couldn't help but admire Darham's genius. Darham then revealed a secret. While she had succeeded this time, it had been a total accident. She hadn't kept track of the ingredients she used and had only discovered the potion after mixing random chemicals. Despite her accidental success, Darham wasn't upset. She believed that making mistakes was fine. After all, they were just students, and there was no need to stress about achieving greatness so early in life. Sun reassured her that it wasn't a big deal, and Darham offered to help her with future inventions if she ever needed it. As Sun observed her hair, she marveled at Darham's talent. Darham seemed capable of fulfilling any request, and Sun found herself hesitating. She had something in mind, but was too embarrassed to ask. Diet pills. It was a surprisingly simple request for someone as brilliant as Darham. The next morning, S was happily singing, wondering if her skirt had always fit so tightly. Reflecting on the previous day, she questioned whether asking for the pills had been too much. Darham had told her that dieting didn't particularly interest her, but it wasn't impossible. She offered her a tonic that supposedly decomposed body fat to aid in weight loss. Sun questioned why there was a skull on the bottle. Darham explained that it was the only one she had left and that she had even tried the tonic herself. She assured Sun that it was safe to drink, but emphasized that it needed to be taken with water to properly combine with water molecules. When Sun inquired about side effects, Darham mentioned that the tonic would completely melt away her fat layer, making her unrecognizable. Sun exclaimed that it sounded like poison. However, Darham took the tonic herself to demonstrate how to drink it. It tasted so awful that Sun almost threw up. Even after seeing that it worked, she hesitated but ultimately decided to trust Darham. Back in the present, S was experimenting with different hairstyles. She tried double pigtails for a cute look and a classic ponytail for an innocent vibe. However, it turned out to be her two friends playing with her hair. They remarked on how nostalgic it was, as it had been a long time since they had last seen her with long hair. When Hull arrived, he asked S why her hair was so long. Yen then asked Hull if he didn't think Sun looked pretty with long hair. Hull looked at S and replied that she was obviously very pretty. He mentioned that, even though he saw her every day and she was always pretty, she had a refreshing charm with long hair. Feeling confident that the tonic was starting to work, Sun asked Hull if he noticed anything different about her besides her hair. She intended to tease him for not recognizing her physical change, as she assumed all men would. However, when H asked her, he got closer than usual, staring at her whole body, which made Sun quite nervous. Hull told S that she had always been adorable every time he saw her, so it was hard to pinpoint exactly what had changed. This answer made Sun even more nervous, as it was not what she had expected. Sun then mentioned that she was on a diet, implying that she had lost body fat. Her friends started laughing. In the end, on her way home, Sun decided to cut her hair. Meanwhile, the pill that Darham had given her turned out to be nothing more than a very bitter vitamin pill. As the end of March neared, the academic aptitude examination period at Sonlu High School had concluded. It was observed that students who excelled in high school exams did not always perform well on this particular test. Despite her appearance, Sun had consistently ranked first since high school, making her recent exam result quite shocking. Hull asked Sun if she was all right, and though she said yes, she did not seem fine at all. Hull attempted to cheer her up through practice, assuring her that she would do better next time. However, his words did not comfort her. Sun responded by questioning why he would say such things. Taking Hull's results from his hand, she glanced at them and was impressed. She inquired about how he had performed so well. Hull explained that the test was not too difficult, just a bit confusing at first, but once he grasped the process, he could analyze it calmly and solve it again. Noticing Sun's sadness, Hull asked if there was a particular reason why this test mattered so much to her. Sun admitted that her mother had promised to give her more pocket money if she performed well, as she wanted to buy many things her current allowance could not cover. Hull offered to help her by explaining some topics in more detail. Sun questioned if it was a bother for him, and he assured her that it was not. He confirmed that he was happy to dedicate his time without expecting anything in return. He stated that if it helped her, he would gladly do it, insisting that it was not a waste of time, but rather what a man should do. Sun thanked him and asked if she could come to his house. Hull mentioned that his sister would be resting in the afternoon, so Sun felt obligated to invite him over instead. When they arrived at Sun's home, she told him that no one else was there and asked him to relax and come inside. However, her sister suddenly appeared, questioning whether Sun had forgotten about her presence at home. When she asked about the boy behind Sun, she immediately introduced Hull as a friend. Upon seeing Hull, Sun's sister smiled and kindly introduced herself. Hull stepped forward to shake her hand and, while doing so, seemed to take notice of her hair. Sun's sister then announced that she would be in her room, telling them to feel free to do whatever they wanted. Hull remarked that Sun's sister was quite intense, and Sun quickly led him to her room. Once inside, Hull began explaining the topics Sun struggled with. However, he soon realized that she was not paying close attention. Eventually, Sun apologized, asking him to wait a moment as she needed to use the bathroom. While there, she could not stop thinking about her sister's earlier behavior. Even though Hull was present, it bothered her. As Hull waited for Sun to return, he was caught off guard when Sun's sister opened the door. Thinking it was Sun, he told her to keep studying hard. However, it was not Sun, it was her sister. She greeted him and skipped small talk, asking directly if he was Sun's boyfriend. Hull replied that he was not yet. Sun's sister responded that it was even better that way. She then questioned if he had truly been focused on studying while being in a girl's room. Sun's sister directly asked if he liked Sunday. Hull admitted that he did, asking how she had figured it out. She then inquired what he liked about Sun, wondering if it was her cheerful nature. Hull agreed that it was partly due to her joyful personality, also mentioning her pretty eyelashes and the mole underneath her eye, which he found charming. Upon hearing this, Sun's sister moved closer to Hull, grabbing him by his tie and pulling him onto the bed. Now above him, she asked what he thought of her and if he wanted to see her long eyelashes and piercing eyes. The two sisters were vastly different. Sun's sister commented that Sun was boring, to which a nervous Hull disagreed. He denied it, but first asked Sun's sister to calm down. At that moment, someone suddenly burst into the room, shouting, "What are you doing?" The abrupt interruption made Sun's sister exclaim that they had been caught. Sun quickly pulled her sister out of the room. However, before leaving, Sun's sister told Hull to think about it. After that, Sun asked Hull to continue studying, but due to the shocking incident, her mind could not focus. Even though Hull attempted to change the subject, the inevitable happened. Sun felt quite uncomfortable. She could not stop thinking about what had just taken place. The situation confirmed her suspicions. Hull, who usually talked a lot, had now fallen silent. Should she ask him about it? Or should she wait for him to mention it? When they locked eyes, both became visibly nervous. Eventually, Sun asked Hull what her sister had done to him earlier, inquiring whether he liked skinship. She clarified that the term was a Korean expression referring to affectionate physical contact. Hull denied that anything had happened as Sun was imagining. Sun became very upset, telling Hull to forget about her and what she had done last time. She asked if that had not been enough. Hull explained that at this rate, they would not be able to concentrate on studying. In the end, Sun kicked him out of her house, using the excuse that she needed to prepare dinner alone. Sun thought it was the worst. She had panicked too quickly. Later, her sister asked if her friend had already left. She then questioned what Sun's plan had been. The sister revealed that all she had done was lay him down on the bed and bring her lips a little closer. She added that she had not actually done anything wrong. Sun blushed just imagining it and yelled at her sister, declaring that she definitely had done something. Laughing, her sister claimed that it was all just a joke and that she had not intended anything strange in the first place. Sun then asked why she had done something like that. Her sister looked at her intently before saying that maybe it was because she had a suspicion. However, she doubted that Sun would understand. Sun's sister had only just met Hull a few minutes ago, yet she had sensed that Sun had been acting strangely lately. Recently, she had started yelling in her room and had even asked if she was pretty. The only person Sun seemed to see was a man. At that moment, her sister grew curious. When Sun finally brought someone home, her sister noticed a male voice and thought she had finally found the reason behind Sun's recent behavior. Meeting a boy had always been a passive event in Sun's relationships. Her sister believed that if she could disrupt Hull's straight-laced nature, it might bring a little chaos into Sun's life. However, as Sun calmed down and reflected, she realized that there was no way Hull was responsible for the situation. After all, he liked her and not her sister, whom he had just met. However, she also realized that she had made the mistake of reacting that way with him. She should have asked him instead of calling herself stupid, but she knew it was her fault. Sun grabbed her cell phone, determined to fix things. She called Hull, asking where he was. To her surprise, she heard that he had already returned home and was downstairs, yelling at her sister to stop making those kinds of jokes. Sun smiled slightly and went downstairs. Hull was sitting there, waiting for her. She ran up to him and asked if he had been waiting there for a long time. More importantly, she wanted to know why he had come back. Hull explained that he had considered leaving but realized there was still something he needed to tell her. He earnestly declared that he promised never to disappoint her like that again. He asked for her forgiveness for what had happened today. Sun questioned why she should forgive him when it had all started with her sister. Hull, not expecting things to be resolved so easily, braced himself for whatever she might say. He then asked her if she understood why her sister had acted that way. Seeing him so nervous, Sun realized that the same Hull, who always looked at her shamelessly, also had moments that left him baffled. Even in these situations, he remained quite upright. She began to laugh at him, but seeing him like that made him appear quite adorable. Her smile in that moment made Hull happy. Hull told Sun that her smile was beautiful and very charming. He also mentioned that he wasn't making excuses, but being in her sister's presence made him feel a little insecure, and it puzzled him. What confused him the most, however, was the way Sun had reacted, as it wasn't usually like her. In the end, Sun apologized for the trouble she and her sister had caused him and for not handling things more calmly. With a slightly sad look, he mentioned that he always seemed to have a tough time whenever he was with her. However, he told her not to worry, because thanks to her, every day was now fun for him. He then wanted to ask her a favor, to continue getting along and having fun together just like they were now. Sun accepted, but she still felt guilty seeing him like that. Hull then asked if she would accept his request. Sun wondered what he would ask for, and with a small smile, Hull asked if she would like to watch a movie together this weekend and eat something delicious, just the two of them, as if it were a date. Hull stood looking around with a slightly bewildered expression, as if unsure of his surroundings. Suddenly, a voice broke the silence, calling out, "You're late." The voice stated it plainly, with a hint of mild reproach in its tone. Hull, startled, looked up, his eyes widening slightly in surprise as he recognized the speaker. "Oh, so you were there," he exclaimed, acknowledging her presence. His tone suggested that he hadn't initially noticed her. The previous night, Sun lay in bed, her expression a mix of anxiety and exhaustion. She hugged a pillow tightly to her chest, her thoughts swirling with nervous anticipation. She wondered internally if she should just rest, given how tough the day had been. She exclaimed, taking a sharp intake of breath, as if startled by her own thoughts. Her mind raced, thinking about how unbelievable the timing was, concluding that he was a total fox. She then reassured herself internally about the nature of their meeting, thinking that going out tomorrow was just to repay a debt. She told herself to get over it, squeezing the pillow tighter as her expression became more tense. Her internal voice emphasized, "It's not a date." Her sister, upon hearing her making such noises, says, "Maybe I shouldn't have done that." Sun thinks to herself, "I've been nervous since yesterday, so I couldn't sleep well. I'm feeling tired. Is my outfit okay?" I hope he doesn't think I overdid it. The next day, Hull says to her, "Sorry, did you wait long? Should I have come out earlier?" Sun replies, "It's fine. I've only been here for about 10 minutes. Besides, you're bad with directions, so it's good that you made it here." Hull, speaking apologetically, says, "I'm really sorry. I'll do better next time for sure. Now, where should we go first? Do you want to decide, Seung?" Staring blankly, she says, well, what should I suggest doing first? How would I know? I haven't done this kind of thing before." Then, she starts thinking again. What should I say? Should we eat first or go straight to the cinema? What would feel most natural? Nervously, he suggests, "Then, let's have something to drink first. Should we go to a cafe?" She responds, "That sounds good." I was thinking the same. When they arrive at the cafe, they both have coffee, which turns out to be really tasty. While sipping on her coffee, Sun notices Hull looking at her. She asks, "Do you have something to say?" Hull replies, "Oh, no. I was just watching you because you looked so cute." Sun thinks to herself, "I really can't let my guard down." At the table behind them, two ladies whisper, "Did you hear that? Those kids over there, aren't they so cute?" The boyfriend expresses himself so well. I'm so jealous. Shocked, Sun exclaims, my boyfriend. Then, turning to Hul, she says, hey, Nam Hul, let's hurry and book the movie. As she drags him away, he protests, but I'm not done with my drink yet. She insists, if we're late, we won't catch the movie. Sorry, I'll treat you next time. Hearing this, Hul cheers up. So next time, you'll watch a movie with me again? Upon arriving at the cinema hall, they decide to watch a romantic movie together. Well, if we watch this, it can only be seen as a definite date, Sun thinks. This one looks fun, but what about this one? Hul asks, which one do you mean by this one? Sun responds, yeah, doesn't it look fun? Horror movies are always worth watching. Hul, looking uncertain, says, a horror movie? Do you want to watch something else? It looks a bit intimidating. No, let's watch this one, Sun insists. All right then, I'll book it. Oh, should we get popcorn? Hul asks, do you want anything, Sun? I'm not sure if I should eat or not. Okay, let's buy it as a set. Hul says, well, I'm not eating. Oh, really? Then I should pass too, Sun decides. Getting frustrated, she thinks to herself, why am I like this today? Hul says, you go ahead. I need to use the restroom. Let's meet here afterward. Once they arrive at their reserved seats, they sit down together. One of them remarks, sure enough, a lot of couples come to the cinema. It seems natural. Feeling nervous, Sun thinks, even I keep being conscious of it. The fact is, we definitely are not in that kind of relationship. But still, at least we picked a good movie. At least I can be comfortable watching it. In the movie, the male lead says to his lover, if we win the autumn tournament, will you go out with me? Sun, confused, thinks, why is this movie playing? Did we go into the wrong theater? Hul responds, it does seem like it. What should we do? Should we leave now? Can't we just keep watching this movie? Sun asks, is that really okay? Hul questions, why? Do you think this one will be more fun? Actually, I can't handle horror movies well. I don't really mind other things, but ghosts, I just can't get used to them. Hearing this, Sun says, why didn't you say anything earlier? I thought you'd be fine with it. Hul explains, it's just that it seemed like you wanted to watch it. Well, it's not like I particularly wanted to watch that movie, Sun says. Thinking to herself, so the reason he hesitated earlier, perhaps he could have just honestly said he didn't want to watch it. He doesn't have to be considerate about this kind of thing. Sun tells Hul, all right then, let's keep watching this one. Yeah, thanks. Sun explains to him, if something like this happens again, make sure to speak up. You don't have to be considerate about these things. I appreciate you trying to match my preference, but overdoing it isn't good. I'm not someone who can understand at least that much. Yeah, I got it, Hul agrees. But I'm still surprised. I thought you wouldn't be scared of things like ghosts at all. These days, I'm seeing new sides of Nam Hul. Anyway, since we decided to keep watching this movie, let's focus on it for now. What could possibly go wrong? Sun wonders. Then she thinks again. A lot could go wrong. First of all, doesn't that actor look just like Nam Hul? Of course, the overall vibe is different, but there's a similar feel. If they stood side by side, they'd look quite alike. And the second point, why is there a cinema scene here? Why of all things, with an actor that looks just like him and in the same setting as well? His hand, why is his hand catching my attention right now? I can't focus on the movie. His hand is so big. Even when we accidentally held hands back then, I thought the same thing. Boys' hands are really big. Shocked, she thinks, what am I doing? After a few moments, Sun eats her food and finds it tasty. She comments, this is good. Having something sweet seems to clear my head a bit. Hul says, I'm glad I bought it. You seemed a bit out of it since we left, so I thought I'd better get you something sweet. Hearing that, she replies, oh, that. I'm just a bit tired. Who knew a romance movie could be so exhausting? Normally, I could watch it without any issues, but the mood was just so intense. But aside from that, thinking about it again, it wasn't a bad time. Honestly, yesterday, I was wondering if it was okay to be alone with a guy. I was worried from the start. But now, being together like this, it wasn't as hard or as bad as I thought. I feel like from now on, I won't worry about anything we do. Right? Let's take it easy. Should we go for a stroll and end the day peacefully? From who knows where. When her friend arrives and sees her, Sun exclaims, "Why is she here?" She suddenly pulls Hole and says, "All right then, lead the way." And then suddenly she says to Hole, "First, get inside quickly." Hole, confused, asks, "Why? What's wrong? What's going on?" She shushes him. Your voice." She could hear us. Rewinding to the past. Deeply interested in Hoyle, she was certain he would be the perfect ally for testing Sun. Anyway, back to the present, were you planning to hide in the first place on Siang? Her friend then muttered to herself, "I'm not an idiot, you know. I wouldn't fail to notice. Maybe I should just pretend not to know and leave. It's another unguarded opportunity to test Sun again." Coughing, ahem. The elevator isn't coming, huh? Why is it taking so long? She sighed. At this rate, I'm going to be late. What should I do? Sun kept her ear close to the wall and whispered, "I think she didn't notice us." It's hard to hear what she's saying. Then, she overheard her friend say, "I guess I have to take the stairs." Sun panicked when she heard that. The stairs are right next to me. Crap, big trouble. She's coming this way. Hole, what do we do? If we go down the stairs, she will see us. Sun's friend hesitated. All right, opening the door now. No way. Too late. She's right at the door. Sun gasped. Hole, feeling overwhelmed, exclaimed, "I don't know anymore. What do we do?" Her friend, trying to find her, scanned the surroundings while Sun and Hole hid in the alleyway. The red-haired friend smirked. You're probably hiding behind the door, aren't you? Who are you trying to fool, you impudent brat? Then she reconsidered on second thought. It's too high to go by the stairs, so I'll just take the elevator instead. In her mind, she debated, should I test them or should I just take the stairs? What should I do? I don't know. I really don't know what to do. Meanwhile, Sun, filled with anxiety, thought, why is she like this? Please just go quickly. Maybe the tension was numbing her senses, but Sun failed to grasp the situation she was in, while the red-haired friend smirked, enjoying the moment. This is fun. Comment if you want more chapter. At the moment, we can see Sun's friend playing a game of hide-and-seek with both Hole and Sun. Once she feels content with teasing them, she says to herself, now that I'm satisfied, let's just leave it at that. Though, honestly, finding you two here would have been a lot of fun too. But don't worry, Sun, this uni isn't clueless enough to butt in on your date. With a smile, she says, hang in there, dear Sun. Of course, I figured you'd go on Monday anyway. When Sun realizes her friend has gone, she gently pulls away from Hole's close embrace. Gasping slightly while catching her breath, she says, that was really surprising. How did we bump into her in this place of all places? If we'd been caught, it would have been a total disaster. She then asks Hole, what's going on? Why are you sitting so awkwardly? Hole responds, mentioning to her, can we just rest for at least 5 minutes? Sun says, okay, sure, no problem. But why are you suddenly like that? Anyway, I was seriously so tense, I thought I was going to die. My head, it hurts. Now that the tension's gone, I feel like I've got no energy left, and my appetite's disappeared too. Seeing her expression, Hole asks, Sun, are you hungry? Flustered by the question, Sun replies, this is different from losing my appetite. What is happening to me? Someone, please just kill me already. The scene then shifts to a fast food restaurant where the two of them are eating burgers. Seeing the way Sun is eating, Hole says, you're not eating much for someone who's hungry. Sun responds, oh no, it's nothing. But in her thoughts, she's thinking, what is this feeling? Deep inside, I'm sensing a strange unease. It's not quite like the tension I felt because of Kwan So High. It feels more like déjà vu or something similar. Gem, déjà vu. Let's go over things step by step. First, at 12:30 in the afternoon, I met Nam Hoyle in front of the building. Then, around 1 p.m., we arrived at the cafe and stayed there until 1:30. After that, we bought movie tickets for the 2:15 show and watched a movie. The genre was romance. It was probably because the actor strangely reminded me of Nam Ho. Then at 5 p.m., we ran into Kwan So High on the first floor and avoided her. After that, we came here for dinner. As she thinks through everything, one by one, cafe, meeting my friend Nam Hoyle, movie theater, and dodging So High, she realizes, wait, I got it. Our date today had so many scenes that mirrored the movie. Strangely, a lot of it overlapped with real life. That's where the déjà vu feeling was coming from. Now, if I think about the scenes that are left, one is where the lead wins the competition. But that doesn't make sense. That couldn't just suddenly happen. Then, there's one more the male and female leads eventually kiss and slowly fall in love. Sun snaps out of her dazed state when Hol calls out to her, "Sun, if you don't mind, can I try one of the cheese sticks?" She replies, "Sure, you can have one." Well, technically it's not impossible for things to line up like that, but there's no way events from a movie would unfold the same in real life, right? She calls Nam and asks, "What's that? Why is this so spicy?" "Oh, that's a new menu item. It has pepperoncino sauce, so it's a bit spicy." "Sorry, I'm kind of weak when it comes to spicy food." Anxious, Sun says, "Oh no, what should I do? I only have this. Here, just drink this for now." Hol gratefully responds, "Thank you very much, Sun." Wanting to confirm, she asks, "Was it really that spicy? It didn't seem too bad to me. But I guess if someone can't handle spicy food, that's possible." Hol starts sipping the juice that Sun gave him. Thanking her, he says, "This feels refreshing. Thanks to you, Unsung, I'm saved." Sun blushes so hard her whole face turns red. She murmurs to herself, you crazy little punk." Because when he drank from her cup, it was technically an indirect kiss. While looking at Sun's current state, Hol adds, "I'm really sorry, Sun. I didn't mean to do it on purpose, but it was so spicy. I just acted in a rush without realizing it." Hearing what Hol said, Sun replied, "I understand it wasn't intentional on your part, but be careful next time." Now the focus shifts to Hol as he says, "Actually, my family doesn't pay much attention to those things. We eat everything without much care, so I used to share a lot with my sister and brother. What I'm saying is, it was my fault. I'm really sorry." Understanding the situation, Sun says, all right. Just be more careful from now on. I guess this can just be considered a minor incident." While she was speaking with Hol, she unknowingly brought the cup close to her mouth. Suddenly waking from her dazed state, she realized she almost made another mistake. She says to herself, "I need to open the lid before drinking it." Being mischievous, Hol says, "I've thought of a way to get a little revenge. Though it's nothing major, maybe this could count as a bit of payback." Hearing that, Sun panics inwardly and thinks, "Say something that makes sense." The scene transitions to near Sun's home building. Upon arriving there, Hol says, "We're here. I really had a lot of fun today. Please get home safely Sunday." Blushing at his concern, Sun responds, "You didn't have to walk me all the way to my house." "It's fine, I like walking too." Hearing her words, Hol adds in his thoughts, "I just wanted to spend even a little more time with you, so don't worry about it." Seeing his romantic behavior, Sun says to herself, "Don't you realize that comment makes me worry even more?" She then adds, "Anyway, thank you. You get home safely too. See you at school on Monday." Suddenly stopping her, Hol exclaims, Wait, Sun." Hearing him call out, she responds, What?" Hol says, "Actually, when I went to buy churros earlier, I saw something. Can I see your hand for a moment?" Complying with his request, Sun brings her hand forward. All of a sudden, Hol catches her hand in his. She almost gets an electric shock from his touch and exclaims, "My hand." "Hol, what are you doing all of a sudden?" Handing her a shark keychain, Hol says, "Here. It's a gift I saw while passing by our box, and I thought I'd buy it." "You mentioned recently you wanted a keyring, right?" Flustered, Sun says, you remembered. But can you tell me why the keychain is a shark?" Hole replies sarcastically, well, doesn't it kind of look like you? Sun, even more flustered, says, what? Laughing, Hole adds, ha ha ha. As soon as I saw it, I thought of you and grabbed it. Anyway, thanks for today. It was a lot of fun. Rest well over the weekend and see you next week. Bye. Watching Hole's departing figure, Sun remarks, he's gone. Looking down at the keyring, she thinks, so he bought it because it looks like me, and it even has a tiny crown. Thinking about the crown, she unveils some thoughts and wonders. Could this be meant to represent a victory scene? If I stretch it, it could make sense. It's quite surprising for a coincidence. How could this even happen? From far away, Hole waves his hand and calls out, hey, Sun. She blushes, looks down, and continues thinking about the keyring in her hand. The scene shifts to nighttime at Sun's apartment. Lying in bed while staring at the keyring, she thinks about what Hole said. Do I really look like this thing? Thinking about a shark, she pretends to be one, making her nails appear sharper. As she was doing this, her sister suddenly appears in the room and asks, what are you doing, Sun? Sun, shocked and embarrassed, jumps at the unexpected interruption during her awkward moment. Man, I swear. I don't know about you, but this used to happen to me all the time. Let me know in the comments if it's ever happened to you. Flustered and trying to act mature, Sun says, I was imitating a shark. Hearing her explanation, her sister says, well, if it makes you happy? Sun, now feeling even more flustered and reaching her limit, says, wait, what do you mean by that? The next scene takes us to the following day at school. We see Sun's friend spying on her from behind a desk. Spotting her, Sun questions, what's up with the staring? Did you have fun? Confused, Sun replies, what? Her friend repeats, did you have fun? Then, smirking, she adds, so that's how it is with you too, huh? Hee. I'm suddenly so thirsty. Could you buy me a drink? Caught off guard, Sun replies, what? Why suddenly? Why should I? Nope, not a chance. Hearing her refusal, her friend remarks, if not, I might just tell the Yejin everything that happened on Saturday. Shocked, Sun exclaims, what the hell? Could it be you knew all along? What are you even saying? Her friend teases, what I know exactly. I'm not quite sure, at least. Not until you clearly tell me. Seeing no way out, Sun finally says, a vending machine drink will do, right? Her friend responds, yep. Thanks for the drink. Oh, and Sun, be careful on the stairs, okay? Understanding what she really meant, Sun turns red as a tomato. While buying a drink from the vending machine, her thoughts are filled with frustration. Everything I did was so stupid. And if it wasn't enough that so he caught me, now she wants to tell Lee Yejin everything as well. Looking gloomy and serious, she mutters, I can't let that happen. I must stop it no matter what. A red-haired girl, looking for Sun, finds her standing in front of the vending machine and says, you're Sun, right? Sun replies, yes, I am, but who are you? Without giving an answer, the girl says, come with me for a bit. I have something to discuss. Sun asked her, while looking straight at her, why me? She said, I mean, honestly, if someone I've never seen before suddenly asks me to follow them without giving any explanation, why would I even consider doing that? The girl responded, is that so? Now that I think about it, maybe she's got a point. She made herself clear and said, I'm not some strange person. My name is Hong Yuna. I'm a first-year student, just like you. Sun Befold replied, what? So we're the same age? Does that mean you expect me to follow you now? Sun, without even hesitating, responded, nope. Why should I? All right, let's hear it first. What do you even want with me anyway? Hong Yuna continued, oh, so here's the thing. I need to fight with you. I want you to fight me. Sun, now annoyed and puzzled, muttered to herself, she really is a weirdo, isn't she? Then she said, all right, I've heard enough. I'm not interested, so I'm leaving now. Bye. Hong Yuna, looking puzzled, asked, why? Sun answered, why? Why should I fight you? This is literally our first meeting. What reason do you have to pick a fight with me? Or did I do something to you without realizing it? Yuna responded, my sister told me. She said you're the scariest among all the first-year girls on Seong. Sun exclaimed, what? Hong Yuna added, seeing you up close, I can feel it even more. Your sharp eyes and fierce aura. If I can beat you, then I'll definitely become the real deal. Sun thought to herself, I can't make any sense of what she's saying. I had forgotten about it since things have been quiet lately, but every now and then, people like her show up. People who judge me just by my eyes and try to fight me for no reason. But for someone like me, who's dealt with tons of people like this, handling someone like her is no big deal. Still, is there no other way besides fighting? Then, as if struck by a better idea, she pointed somewhere and said, there's someone even stronger than me over there. Caught off guard, Hong Yuna exclaimed, wait, really? Where? When she looked in that direction, we saw an old man greeting them warmly, saying, H.A., nice to meet you, students. His identity, Bae Sui, the school's security guard, who has stayed on the job 17 years past retirement age. Hong Yuna, looking confused, couldn't see anyone fitting that description in the direction she was staring. When she turned back to look at Sun, she realized she had run off. Moments later, she shouted, where did she go? Sun, commenting on the situation, said, in moments like this, running away is the smartest move because it always works. Later, Sun asked her friends about Hong Yuna. One of them tried to remember and said the name sounded familiar. Another friend chimed in, I remember now. She was always at the library back in middle school. The other friend agreed, oh, right. That girl from the library club. Sun asked, do you really know her? A friend answered, Sun, you remember the girl who used to sit in the library every lunch, covering for the librarian? Hearing that, Sun looked more confused. Her friend added, it's okay if you don't remember. She barely talked and was always super quiet. Sun was shocked and exclaimed, really? She doesn't seem like that at all now. Her friend said, that's why I didn't make the connection at first either. It's hard to believe. She's changed so much. It's surprising to think she used to be so quiet. But for now, since I have a bad feeling about all this, my only plan is to avoid her as best as I can. Sun thanked them, saying, thanks for the info. Anyway, I'm heading for a quick restroom break. As she walked off, she accidentally ran right into Hong Yuna, who was gasping for breath and said, there you are, on Seong. You can't run away this time. Sun, confused, asked, why are you doing this, Hong Yuna? I heard from my friends that you weren't like this back in middle school. Yuna was caught off guard. How did you know, she asked. Sun gently asked, can you tell me what's really going on? What's making you so determined? Yuna looked down and murmured, well, I need something real. Still puzzled, Sun asked, real? What do you mean by that? Yuna explained more clearly, it's just like you heard. I used to be one of those invisible kids sitting quietly at the back of the classroom. I hated that about myself and wanted to change. So when I entered high school, I managed to change how I look. But even though I changed how I appear, my habits and nature didn't change that easily. That's why I need to prove something, by defeating the strongest person in our grade. I need something solid to show that I've really changed. Sun, after hearing all of that, began to sympathize. She said, hey, Hong Yuna, you're approaching this all wrong from the very beginning. I don't completely understand how desperate you feel. But imagine how ridiculous it sounds to the other person when you just show up and suddenly say, fight me. Also, even though I might not be the best person to say this, you should stop wearing clothes that don't suit you. That part's going to be really hard. She also relayed that I won't force you, of course. It's for you to decide if you're willing to accept desperation or the weight of lies is because the latter is heavier. I hope you can understand. So I'm going now, okay? Hong Yuna finally spoke and said, I figured you wouldn't understand. If you're not willing, and say young. Suddenly, she exclaimed that then I'll have to force it somehow. Wash! She punched Sun with all her strength, but Sun dodged her punch by side, sparring with no effort. And with that, Hong Yuna fell face down onto the floor. Sun, angry after seeing how weak Hong Yuna was, exclaimed, "What the heck? How could you miss from this close?" Yuna, sitting in pain, gasped in pain, "Shot. What are you? How did you dodge that?" Sun said, "I'm telling you, I didn't dodge it." So as they were talking loudly, other students were hearing from outside what they were saying and doing there. To them it sounded like, "Liar. You are clearly good at fighting, aren't you?" A reply came, "Oh, come on, seriously." Suddenly, someone came there and asked, "Is it here?" Then she got her answer, "Yeah, I'm sure Eunice is in there. From the sounds, it seems like they're fighting." Then she pressed that girl, said, "All right, you did well. Leave the rest to me." She enters there, pushing the door while shouting, "Hey, who are you?" And we get her description: Hong Suyin, 3rd year, band club president. Yuna's sister. She again exclaimed, "Why are you messing with my sister?" Seeing her sister, Yuna called loudly, "Sis, please do something." Hearing Yuna call that person sister, Sun looked menacingly with her sharp eyes towards that person, "Sis. So you are her sister?" Hong Siyuna, seeing her face, exclaimed in fear as if her soul was leaving her body. "Think, what is that face, someone? Please save me." The scene then transitions to a meta-commentary where a stern police-like message apologizes for the slow updates and stresses that the truth about certain characters cannot be denied. In her inner monologue, Hong Yuna recalls how she once marked neutral on every survey, unable to commit to any clear opinion. She remembers spending every day inside the library, finding comfort in books that never judged, while her peers often forgot her name. She admits her frustration and self-loathing for being so colorless, incapable of blending into any group. Determined to change, Hong Yuna decided she needed a turning point, symbolized by removing her glasses and altering her hairstyle. On the day of her entrance ceremony, she nervously worries about whether her new appearance will be recognized. Anxiously, she considers the possibility of being judged for dressing up and attempting change. When she tries greeting someone nervously, her worst fear comes true: she's recognized. A black-haired friend compliments her, asking her name. Startled, Hong Yuna introduces herself. With pride, she states that she now has her own group, noticing how her environment shifted alongside her appearance. Reflecting, she realizes the change itself wasn't difficult, it was her mindset that mattered most. Hong Yuna believes that transformation is simple if one truly decides, as a friend calls her name. The black-haired friend asks about her experiences, making Hong Yuna realize her illusion of change was short-lived. Sitting alone, she struggles to answer questions about boyfriends or fights, likening herself to a hermit crab whose shell changes, but true nature remains the same. She feels herself drifting back toward her old self, a fate she desperately wants to avoid. Hong Yuna concludes she needs real experiences and vivid stories to make up for her shortcomings. She asks a friend who the strongest person in their grade is. The friend at first hesitates, but then remembers someone, asking if Hong Yuna knows In Siang, a name she vaguely recalls, but doesn't truly know. Haired girl admits she once met a Neong and found her glare incredibly intense. Confidently, the black-haired, fanged sister asserts that she would win if she fought Ani Young. Hong Yuna cheerfully agrees, praising her sister. In her inner thoughts, however, Hong Yuna admits she has never fought and believes defeating He Young is her only way of overcoming her former self and deep-seated self-hatred. Once again, Hong Yun angrily demands to know who is inside, repeating her earlier action. Inside, Hong Yuna remains on the floor, while Kwon So-hee stands nearby, startled by the commotion. Still on the ground, Hong Yuna frantically calls out to her sister with a wavering cry, then questions her arrival in confusion, implying her surprise at the timing. Hunga then glares at In Shang, warning that she will regret her actions, stressing how terrifying her sister becomes when enraged. With a menacing smile, Hong Yuna warns Anyong that soon it will be too late for mercy, urging her to be prepared. Suddenly, someone calls her name. At first confused, Hong Yuna then answers affirmatively. A girl with a bun explains that Suyun Bae had to leave for an urgent matter and apologizes on her behalf, leaving Hong Yuna in shocked frustration. A tall, shadowy figure, implied to be Hong Suyun, casts a menacing presence over Hong Yuna, who cowers on the floor in fear. Trembling, she stammers nervously, not knowing what to do. The imposing silhouette asks if they should finish their conversation, prompting a terrified shriek from her. Meanwhile, Anyong calmly approaches Soy, who looks startled, and hands her something. Noticing Kwon So-hee's scraped arm from the fall, Anyong tells her to use it. Kwon So-hee confirms the injury, and In-seong lightly slaps her hand, warning not to throw punches like that again. Kwon So-hee apologizes. Anyong tells her she understands her anxiety, but warns against imposing her troubles on others just to ease her own mind. She advises that relationships built on lies only lead to regret, and if people leave after seeing one's true self, it is better to let them go. Crouching down, Anyong extends her hand, offering to be there as a friend. Kwon Soy looks deeply touched and surprised at her sincerity. In-seong urges her to answer quickly if she understands, and Kwon Soy nervously agrees. Nearby, two boys comment that nothing serious seems to be happening. Suddenly, Nam Hoyal appears, greeting In-seong and remarking that they've met again. A startled Anyong questions when he arrived and whether he heard everything, but he pretends ignorance. Smiling charmingly, Nam Hoy leaves Anyong flustered and embarrassed. Later, blushing and questioning how she ended up in such an unexpected situation. A boy named Han asks if she's thinking about visiting a manga cafe. Surprised, Haya explains that she heard a new one opened near the station and planned to visit alone. She blushes, touched by his thoughtfulness. Han enthusiastically agrees, asking when, but then suggests such things should be done on impulse. He asks if she's free after school today, shocking her into disbelief. Flustered, Haya apologizes, insisting she can't go today, though it's not because of other plans. Panicked, she clutches her chest, fearing her heart might explode if she goes unprepared. A flashback reveals that Hyun once felt a surge of emotions upon learning Anyong and Nam Hoy had gone to see a movie together. The narration clarifies that these feelings were envy and jealousy, as a younger Hyun longed to go out with Hanu. As president of the Love Research Club, Hyun resolves not to be left behind. Nervously, she calls out to Hanu, who turns around and acknowledges her. Haya, strengthened by her club experiences, skillfully tries to ask Hanu if he is free on the weekend. Hanil instead suggests Hyun spend her spare time studying, leaving her disappointed as a narration reminds her she still has much to learn. Enyong looks irritated, questioning why Hyun is coming to her for help. Han desperately begs Young for assistance before the weekend, explaining she has no one else she can rely on. Young, outraged, reacts with a furious expression, shouting that her outing was not a date, which makes Han shrink back and apologize. Han confesses her anxiety about being alone with someone, admitting she isn't good at talking, and asks Anyang about her own experience. Sitting on a red chair, Anyang admits that while it was awkward at first, it wasn't as big of a deal as she feared. Anyang appears confident and self-assured, while Hyun views her with awe, finding her advice incredible. Han internally notes that at a manga cafe, she can focus on manga while also growing closer to Hanyul. Determined, Han decides she cannot let this chance slip away. On the weekend, the day of the date, a voice at the manga cafe confirms payment and assures the customer their drinks will buzz when ready. A cafe worker hands Hanu a buzzer and ticket, instructing him to hang it on their room door, which Hanu acknowledges. Han nervously peeks into a room, asking if everything is prepared. Hyun clutches her chest in panic, her heart pounding so hard she feels she could die from nerves. She admires Hanyul's casual outfit, finding it cute and exactly her type. Looking down at her own plain clothes, Hyun feels dismayed, worrying Hanul will be disappointed and wishing she could run away in embarrassment. Hanil smiles and points, asking Han to help him choose some manga. Hyun blushes, wondering if Han has noticed her feelings and is trying to put her at ease. With newfound determination, Han glows, ready to face the moment. She tells herself not to give up now that she's here, to stop overthinking and help Hanul. Sitting in a small room uncomfortably close to Han, Hyun questions whether she should give up after all, noticing their shoulders nearly touch. A close-up highlights the uncomfortable proximity of their shoulders as Hyun panics about accidental contact. Haya calls out Hanil's name, noticing he seems completely unfazed by their closeness while reading. Panicking, Han realizes she must change the mood and take the lead before she blunders. Her desire persona, a devilish figure, appears, brushing off her worries and assuring her nothing is wrong. Confidently, Hyun's desire persona urges her to seize the chance and initiate physical contact. Opposing her, Hyun's moral persona, an angelic figure, angrily confronts desire for such impulsive suggestions, while desire dismissively acknowledges her. Morals instead advocates for building the relationship gradually through conversation and even suggests ordering snacks, which they desire, and begrudgingly concedes is reasonable. Then, Morals firmly assert her authority as the voice of morality. Frustrated, Hyun's moral persona shrieks that it's unfair and vows not to let desire win so easily. Both personas look confused as their phones beep. They wonder aloud what happens if they press buttons together, admitting they don't know, before desire pointedly asks if Han wants to do anything physical. Han then appears with a flushed face, seemingly overtaken by a bold impulse. Desire smirks, noting that even the mixed outcome still aligns with her goal. Morals reacts in regret and dismay, while Desire scolds her for failing to hide her feelings. The brown-haired boy looks on thoughtfully. Shocked, Hyun covers her mouth, thinking, "I did it," as objects scatter around her. Collapsing to the ground, the distressed, long, dark-haired girl laments that it's over and she can't deny it, bidding farewell to good memories. Hanil, the brown-haired boy, holds up his phone and asks if Haeun's words were inspired by the manga he's reading, leaving her stunned. A manga panel reveals an aggressive junior manga with a charming female lead, setting the tone. Blushing and sweating, Hyun frets internally, wondering if Hanil thinks she copied the female lead, and declares that if so, it's a problem. Hanu, the brown-haired boy, remarks that the manga is fun and has developed a lot, while Han also remembers finding it interesting. Haya blushes and nods, recalling a hugging scene earlier. Starry-eyed and flustered, Hyun recalls the manga's fast-paced kiss scene, muttering, "Key." SS Hanu, the brown-haired boy, offers a soft, thoughtful smile. With his large hand hovering, a speech bubble suggests that holding hands is the best way to start, leaving Hyun shocked, sweating, and speechless. Smiling, Hanyul admits he prefers the simple freshness of just holding hands with a lover. Fidgeting, Han agrees, though inwardly frets she has no experience with hand-holding and assumes Hanyul has much more. But calmly, Hanul admits he has never actually done it, shocking Han into questioning his confession. Stunned, she blurts, "Han, you've never had a girlfriend," leaving the boy looking surprised. Casually, Hanu confirms he's single and asks if that's strange. Shaking and blushing furiously, Hyun unexpectedly feels embarrassed upon realizing Hanyul is single, admitting she thought he'd be popular. Han realizes Hanil has never had a girlfriend, which sparks an excited thought. That means right now he doesn't have one, right? Her eyes widen with hope as her heart races. That night, Hanil, the brown-haired boy, stands silently by a window, deep in thought. He turns to Han, asking for a favor, just like before. Startled and slightly sweaty, Haya asks what he means. Han, the brown-haired boy, requests that Hyun hold his hand, shocking her into blurting, "WH what?" in disbelief. Covering her mouth, Han is completely flustered and confused. Stammering, she struggles to understand Hanyul's request, while the brown-haired boy apologetically offers to drop the idea if she doesn't want to, clarifying it was just a personal thought. A red background and bold text highlight Hyun's overwhelming internal reaction. Flushed and sweating, Haya wonders how things escalated this way. Sitting beside Hanyul, Hyun grows distressed, worrying about her nerves and if she might even smell sweaty. Han notices Hanyul's hand, realizing it is warmer and larger than hers, and feels that the reality of this moment makes it truly special. Hyun blushes deeply, hearts floating around her, overflowing with love and happiness, questioning whether she even deserves such joy. Hanyul, sitting calmly with crossed legs and a book in hand, continues to read in peace. Hanu, the brown-haired boy, tells Hyun he has finished reading and thanks her, making the long, dark-haired girl let out a surprised ah. The brown-haired boy, Hanu, reflects that the reading felt unlike the first time, though he senses something is still missing. The long, dark-haired girl, Han, reacts with a startled exclamation. A close-up of Han's face reveals her inner thought, a longing for a real girlfriend. Remembering her earlier excitement, Han reminds herself that she is only a friend and laments lacking the courage to reach for something beyond that. She believes she does not have the bravery for more, fearing she may ruin even the bond they already share. Hyun reassures herself that it's fine if she cannot be by his side, since she is used to trailing one step behind. She tells herself that seeing Hanyul smile makes everything worth it, and she would gladly accept any request from him. Tearfully, Han thinks she would be content just to hold hands with him anytime. Han and Hanyul walk side by side, shown in a close-up of their upper bodies. The brown-haired boy, Hanyul, looks pensive, while Haya, the long, dark-haired girl, gazes wistfully, sharing a thought bubble. Suddenly, Haya blushes hard and appears completely shocked. She continues to look flushed, sweating, and overwhelmed. Then, with a flap and a thud, Han collapses to the floor, panicking over her repeated slip-ups and declaring herself doomed. Hune cries into a pillow, lamenting that she is not even his girlfriend and worrying he might find her behavior awkward, avoiding her altogether. A hand pushes open a window at night, showing a blurred outdoor view. The brown-haired boy stands by the window, deep in reflection. An image appears of Hyun and Hanyul holding hands, her thought bubble stating she is fine with holding hands anytime. The brown-haired boy looks surprised, almost as if he overheard the thought. The brown-haired girl, Shang, looks thoughtful and somewhat worried. Meanwhile, Han slumps face down on a desk, radiating gloom, asking if her sadness is noticeable. Sang wonders if she should even respond at this point. The brown-haired girl, Shang, asks Hyun what happened, and Hyun begins explaining that so much occurred. She tells Shang that she tried to help Hanyul with his first time, but feels she did poorly, leaving Shang utterly confused. The brown-haired girl, Shang, demands an explanation from Hyun, who hides beneath the desk, questioning what first time is supposed to mean. The brown-haired girl, Seong, suddenly exclaims, "Wow, finally," then looks shocked, questioning her own reaction. Later, the brown-haired girl, Si-young, looks surprised after hearing about a sports festival happening next week. With a confused expression, she asks, "Huh?" Looking bewildered, she questions again after being told about the upcoming sports festival. A blazing sun shines brightly in the clear blue sky, announcing the arrival of summer. Over a school building, text appears, "The hot sun is full of passion, a burning season urging achievement." Inside a school hallway, words highlight that sports day at Sangrim High School is approaching before the real summer heat arrives. Students in a classroom chatter about their class t-shirt design for sports day. A red-haired girl and a teal-haired girl eagerly suggest animal costumes, insisting they are fun and cute. Two boys, one with brown hair and another with black hair, argue passionately against the idea, pushing instead for sportswear to secure victory. Their maroon-haired teacher grows irritated with the noisy debate over attire. Finally fed up, she settles the matter by drawing lots, pulling a slip of paper from a box. Shock spreads across her face as students gasp at the result. An aerial view of the school building appears with Sports Day text floating above, setting the scene. The school campus is again shown from above with the overlaid words 10/Kende, signaling the passage of time. Yen Hyung-bae, the ethics teacher with brown hair, stands at a podium, instructing students to line up on the field to begin the event. Two student groups assemble in various outfits. One looks unmotivated, while another believes they lack the drive to win. The red-haired girl confidently proclaims, Class 2's victory cannot be stopped, as the black-haired girl in a captain's hat cheers happily. Annie Young, the brown-haired girl, crosses her arms, embarrassed, wishing everyone would simply line up quietly when suddenly her name is called. Annie Young blushes, flustered as someone compliments her cute braided hair and asks who styled it. The red-haired girl proudly admits she did, making Annie Young shriek in embarrassment. As Annie Young scowls, both the red-haired girl and the captain hat girl tease her, saying she's in the palm of my hand. Nam Hoyal, the black-haired boy, happily agrees with Sohee's opinion, causing Annie Young to question him. Nam Hoyal reassures her that no one in their year can outshine her, prompting her to doubt his reasoning. Yet Nam Hoyal confidently declares Annie Young is the cutest in her class, T-shirt, and insists they are number one. Annie Young blushes furiously, trembling in embarrassment, as the red-haired girl and the captain hat girl watch her reaction. A high shot of the school building follows, as a voice urges students in the back to hurry up and line up. Under a canopy, students sit, a red-haired girl smiles, a yellow-haired girl rests, and a green-haired boy looks uneasy. The brown-haired girl in the captain's hat sighs in frustration, with a blurred dark image moving behind her. The red-haired girl apologizes to Si Young, hugging her, while the captain hat girl offers her hat to cheer her up. A black-haired boy with a top bun reassures Annie Young not to worry, but then sharply warns someone to stay quiet unless they want to be split in two. Smiling afterward, he compliments the brown-haired girl's outfit, saying it smells of the sea and that she is ready. Finally, Yoon Ha-young, the blue-haired third-year swimming club captain, winks with her club members, inviting first-year talents to join their team for Sports Day. The brown-haired girl wearing a captain's hat attempts to speak to the blue-haired girl in a swimsuit. However, the blue-haired girl interrupts, claiming she already knows what will be said. With pride, the blue-haired girl declares that the school rules do not forbid wearing swimsuits during the sports festival, suggesting that no such rule exists. A foot in a white sneaker stomps against the pavement as a voice urgently shouts, "Hey, Yang Heong." Teacher Ayang. The brown-haired girl angrily yells about someone wearing a swimsuit outside, demanding proper clothing, startling another student. Teacher Aae Young scolds the students in swimsuits with frustration, warning them about dressing appropriately. Yet, in her inner thoughts, she admits her efforts feel ineffective. Deciding instead to handle the matter another time, Teacher Aae Young turns her focus elsewhere as the brown-haired girl in the captain's hat asks if she is close to Haeyoung Sr. With a smile, Teacher Aae Young promotes teacher participation in Sports Day, saying it should be for fun, stressing the importance of having a heart that enjoys the moment. The girl in the captain's hat quietly watches. Nervously, the brown-haired girl in the captain's hat announces the very first tug-of-war match. Students, including a competitive red-haired girl, eagerly head toward the field, while the black-haired boy informs the teacher they are leaving. An unseen voice remarks that the brown-haired girl in the captain's hat hasn't changed, prompting her to question the comment. Jo Yuri, the black-haired math teacher, confidently states that her class will lose to Class 5 because of her attitude toward fun. The brown-haired girl reluctantly admits that Jo Yuri is right about her consistent approach. Jo Yuri further points out she has been the same since college. A sharp remark about her rejection after a blind date causes the brown-haired girl's eyes to widen in shock. On the green field, a tug-of-war rope marked with a red ribbon lies ready, signaling the match ahead. The brown-haired girl expresses her nervousness about the tug-of-war, but the red-haired girl encourages her to just enjoy herself as the teacher advised. Suddenly, a loud shout of, "Hey, Class 2, startles the brown-haired girl, who turns with a worried look. Teacher Ae Young furiously warns Class 2 that they won't be forgiven if they lose to Class 5, startling a student into replying with a shocked yes. A determined girl in a school uniform smugly claims that Seong's team has no chance. Darham, the teal-haired girl wearing a tiger costume, greets Seong playfully and asks if appearances fooled her. With a sly wink, she questions whether Se knows what's hidden beneath her loose outfit before laughing mischievously. Darham then reveals she is wearing a prototype WMK.1 exoskeleton suit, capable of pulling with more than 10 times the normal force. Shocked voices exclaim, "What?" The brown-haired girl yells, "What? Isn't that cheating?" and calls for the referee. The referee's whistle blows with a sharp beep, signaling the start of the match. The brown-haired girl pulls with effort while Darham smiles confidently, both tugging on the rope. In desperation, the brown-haired girl cries out, "UW, while Darham, though still pulling hard, looks momentarily confused. It is then revealed that Darham's invention includes a switch that changes between pulling force and pushing force. Unfortunately, she mistakenly left it set to push mode. Flustered, Darham accidentally activates the pushing force, causing the rope to fly unexpectedly in the wrong direction. "Whoa," she cries, losing her balance as the exoskeleton's force backfires. A triumphant cheer announces Class 2 as the winners of the tug-of-war. Shocked and drenched in sweat, Darham stumbles, unable to regain balance, devastated that her own invention caused her team's defeat. Collapsing to the ground, the teal-haired girl trembles in disbelief. Inside an empty school gymnasium, basketball hoops and bleachers stand ready for the next event. The brown-haired girl, filled with determination, declares she has waited for this day, a chance to take revenge against Anae Young. With long hair and dressed in a blue jersey, she fiercely shouts that she will defeat Anae Young and challenges her on the court. Standing at her side, two teammates, Jang Gaya, the orange-haired girl, and Lee Chang-ha, the black-haired girl, both wearing blue jerseys, greet An Young with surprise, saying they had heard of her from Su Yen. The brown-haired girl notes that An Young's past troubles seem to have been resolved, to which An Young admits she was helped. With fiery resolve, the brown-haired girl warns An Shang not to expect her to go easy, declaring her confidence in dodgeball. The whistle beeps, starting the match. The brown-haired girl shouts a warning before sounds of impact, "Ouch!" and "Jumf" fill the air. Two Class 6 players are knocked out, shocking Junggo and Leong Ha, who exclaim in awe at the double cushion play. Breathing heavily, the brown-haired girl first looks relieved, but quickly questions herself, uttering, "Who?" A shadowy figure makes a swift swish motion, showing the battle won't be so simple. Desiring a true challenge, the brown-haired girl cries out in tearful shock, "Say Young," as the match intensifies. A player slams the basketball backboard with a thunderous wham, drawing a gasp from an unseen observer. A brown-haired boy watches comments on An Young's impressive dodgeball skill and asks Nam Hoyo, the black-haired boy, if he remembers being struck by her. With a confident smile, Nam Hoyo replies that being hit by her wasn't a bad memory. He might even want to experience it again. A basketball drops through the hoop, scoring a point. Pointing upward, Nam Hoyo encourages his team to stay calm, keep their defense steady, and simply cover their space, reassuring them that's enough. On the bench, Annie Young, the brown-haired girl, thoughtfully admits that the play was not bad. Sitting beside her, Kwon Soho, the red-haired girl, is pressed by her to speak plainly if she has something to say. A loud wham echoes as Kwon Soho softly mentions that guys who excel at sports are popular. Confused, Ance Young questions the sudden change of topic. Nearby, two girls, one with dark brown hair and another with red-orange hair, sit on the ground, admiring Nam Hoyle. Calling him handsome and their type, they plan to approach him after the sports festival. And Seo Young, the brown-haired girl, turns away slightly, her cheeks faintly flushed, wearing a thoughtful expression as she ponders their conversation. Ani Young, the brown-haired girl, scoffs, questioning what the popularity of sports guys has to do with her. Won Sohee, the red-haired girl, teases Ani Young, hinting she might miss her chance if she hesitates, while Ani Young, annoyed, asks her to be direct. Won Sohee, the red-haired girl, winks playfully, urging Ani Young not to delay and lose her chance. And Seung, the brown-haired girl, gasps with wide eyes, shocked by Won Sohee's implication. Anyong, the brown-haired girl, angrily pushes the red-haired girl aside with a swish, shouting for her to do it herself and insisting it has nothing to do with her. The red-haired girl flies comically through the air, yelling, "She said it clearly," while Ance Young finds her exhausting. And Young, the brown-haired girl, grows pensive, internalizing the idea that men skilled in sports are popular. A dark-haired boy reflects on Nam Hoyle taking a break from sports and recalls how vaguely he dodged the reason when asked. Ance Young, the brown-haired girl, is shown from behind, her thoughts swirling with curiosity about why Nam Hoyle, despite his talent, quit sports and answered so ambiguously. A thud accompanies Ani Young's "ouch" as she sits on a bench, surprised after something strikes nearby. Park Chan-hee, the brown-haired boy, asks Anyong if she has something to ask, but she denies it, saying it's nothing important. A close-up reveals the legs of someone sitting on a bench, sweat visible on their knees. The black-haired boy with brown skin asks the brown-haired boy if he's close to Nam Hoyle, who replies that they've been friends since elementary school. The brown-haired girl with the captain's hat asks the black-haired boy if Nam Hoyle played sports before, and he vaguely recalls hearing so. The brown-haired girl looks surprised, asking if Nam Hoyle's sport was baseball, and confirms he had been in the baseball club until middle school. The black-haired boy sits on the bench, thoughtful, as the brown-haired girl asks if he knows why Nam Hoyle said he was taking a break from sports. The black-haired boy on the bench slowly admits he knows the reason, but says it's better for Nam Hoyle to explain it himself later. Looking uneasy, he adds that he shouldn't say it, but is interrupted by someone calling out, "Hey, Park Chan-hee." A voice asks if he's rested and ready to switch, to which he replies, "I'm coming now," as a brown-haired girl watches from afar. Ani Young, the brown-haired girl, looks both surprised and curious, questioning the situation. An aerial view shows the school's outdoor water fountains under a clear canopy, with the street in the background. And Se-young stands by a brick wall, wondering why everyone hesitates to speak about Nam Hoyle. Startled by something, she gasps and looks to her left. The black-haired boy asks Anyong if she was drinking water, but she clarifies she was only washing her hands, and he offers to wash up too. A wide shot beneath the canopy shows the brick building and school structures, marking a shift in scene. The black-haired boy discreetly glances at Se-young as he walks by. With a slight smile, sensing her unspoken question, he tells her she wants to ask him something, surprising her. He remarks it's written on her face and asks what's on her mind. And Se-young looks hesitant and concerned, trying to ask Nam Hoyle about something, but then interjects with, "Before that." Anyong, the brown-haired girl, reflects on her impatience, questioning if digging into Nam Hoyle's past for her own curiosity is really wise, and concludes it isn't. A close-up of Anyong's ear shows her firmly deciding not to repeat past mistakes, convinced this isn't the right time to ask about Nam Hoyle. And Se-young, the brown-haired girl, looks flustered, recalling the basketball game and admitting that someone looked cool. Nam Hoyle, the black-haired boy, looks surprised, and Se-young, blushing and sweating, flails as she tries to clarify her compliment was merely formal, panicking inside that her true thoughts were misunderstood. Nam Hoyle, the black-haired boy, laughs, apologizing and explaining he thought her question was more serious. He thanks Anyong for watching carefully, while she stands by the brick wall, still looking slightly annoyed. And Se-young, the brown-haired girl, gulps, flustered, processing the exchange. Kwon-sohee, the red-haired girl, laughs maniacally from behind a wall, telling someone unseen to do whatever they want since it has nothing to do with her. Another girl beside her exclaims, "This is crazy." An unseen speaker wonders if Ani Young has changed her heart, startling a blonde-haired girl who looks dizzy and asks how long they've been standing there. The narration declares that Sangram High's sports festival is nearing its end and will close with a relay race. A brown-haired girl with a ponytail explains that the short race requires 2 girls and 1 boy, then asks who in their class is the fastest. Ijin, the black-haired girl, and Nam Hoyeol, the black-haired boy, both raise their hands to volunteer as a voice confirms their participation and wonders who the last runner will be. Ance Young, the brown-haired girl, thinks to herself that Jo was the fastest, but also wishes to rest from the relay as the race noises surround her. Han, the brown-haired girl, reflects internally that she's had too many accidents today and assumes she won't be chosen for the relay given her record, feeling relieved. A green-haired girl apologizes, explaining she injured her ankle last time and can't participate, prompting a question about Sorum filling in. Annie Young, the brown-haired girl, thinks that Sorum also has an upset stomach from bad tteokbokki, sensing something is going wrong, but still believes faster classmates will be chosen instead of her. And Se-young, the brown-haired girl, scoffs to herself, confident she won't be picked for the relay. Ani Young looks disgruntled as the relay is announced, thinking internally, "I knew this would happen." Leah Jean, the black-haired girl, asks Ani Young why the long face and offers to take out all the opponents at the start. But Ani Young thinks the whole situation is absurd. And Se-young, the brown-haired girl, looks irritated, believing Leah Jin's words sound arrogant and wondering if she's just expected to go along with it, while a dark-haired boy stands nearby. And Se-young, the brown-haired girl, admits to herself that Lee Ijin's words might come across as arrogant. Lee Yejin, the black-haired girl, smiles with confidence, declaring that her words are not empty, just as the announcement rings out, "On your marks." A bang signals the beginning of the race, and Lee Yain, the black-haired girl, bursts forward, her thought bubble revealing that she had been part of the track and field club until middle school. Leah Jean, the black-haired girl, immediately takes the lead with the baton, her expression confident as the other colored figures run behind her with the sound of thumps accompanying their steps. The dark-haired boy and a Neong watch and acknowledge Leah Jin's expected running ability. Powerful and fast, Leah Jean rounds the last corner quickly, showing overwhelming speed for Class 2. She is described as peculiar, yet reliable. Annie Young, the brown-haired girl, appears worried, thinking that Class 2 is about to hand over the baton and that the problem lies with her. As the baton is passed, a sharp slap sound echoes and Lee Jean, the black-haired girl, warns An Young not to expect the gap to widen. Ance Young, the brown-haired girl, dashes forward with determination, another slap sound accompanying her movement, as she thinks that she must at least hold the distance. From an overhead view, An Young runs along the track while Class 3 quickly catches up. A dark-haired girl with glasses cheers excitedly, urging to overtake Class 2, while a brown-haired girl with pigtails looks annoyed. The words left incomplete on Se-young, the brown-haired girl, as she runs fiercely with a bandage on her face. From behind, red and blue-suited competitors close in. She knows she has to increase her pace without being told. Ance Young, the brown-haired girl, looks surprised and confused. A distressed sound, escapes her as a visual distortion on the right suggests a stumble or problem. And Se-young, the brown-haired girl, appears distraught as her pace slows, losing the lead. The red and blue-suited competitors rush past her, while the narration voices surprise at Class 2's sudden slowdown. Nam Ho-yeol looks concerned as murmurs rise around him, questioning what suddenly went wrong. Ani Young, continues running with the baton, her face distressed against a swirling background. She feels a sharp pain in her ankle and wonders if she overexerted herself. From behind, she sees the red and blue-suited runners pulling far ahead, realizing the distance has grown greatly. And Se-young feels crushed, thinking herself pathetic for not even holding the lead and believing she ruined everything. Nam-hoi, the black-haired boy, looks shocked and slightly flushed, calling out Se-young as he notices something off-screen. Nam-ho-yeol, the black-haired boy, shouts words of encouragement, urging her to just make it to the end. He tells the surprised Eunyoung to leave the rest to him. And Se-young is shown from behind on the track, a slap sound echoing with her steps as she carries the baton. She questions whether to stop in despair or keep going. Yet, she runs with determination, deciding to take another step for Eugene, who trusted her with the baton. Gasping for air as she rounds the last corner, she promises to give her best amidst the crowd of students. And Se-young successfully passes the baton while calling out Nam-hoi-yeol, hearing a yeah in response. Nam-hoi-yeol smiles at Se-young and praises her with a good job. He sprints with powerful strides, declaring that she can leave everything to him, a Thai sound marking his speed. The black-haired boy shows incredible acceleration, quickly catching up to the red and blue-suited competitors as a voice exclaims at Class 2's outstanding performance. He overtakes both runners decisively on the corner, while an observer marvels at his consecutive passes. Soon, he joins the leading pack, running alongside the yellow and teal-suited runners, as someone exclaims "Wah" at his sudden rise. Kwon Soy, the red-haired girl, looks astonished, questioning how Nam-hoi could be so fast, finding his speed unbelievable despite being in their class, a loud thud sounding in the background. Reaching the last corner, the black-haired boy pushes past the yellow-suited competitor, creating a tight contest between Class 5 and Class 2. Observers wonder who will take the lead. Nam-hoi-yeol, the black-haired boy, pushes hard on the final straightaway, sweat dripping as an observer shouts in disbelief at Class 2's incredible comeback. A brown-haired girl with pigtails and a black-haired girl cheer wildly, screaming for him to go. Nam-hoi-yeol, the black-haired boy, focuses intently on the finish line, certain there are no variables left as the red-suited runner trails behind. An observer exclaims, "Wah, Nam-hoi-yeol." Suddenly, the black-haired boy looks surprised and flushed, a question mark hovering above as he glances quickly. Nam-hoi-yeol. His eyes widen in utter shock, sweat dripping as background lines emphasize his realization. Three girls in school uniforms, including Kwon So-hee, the red-haired girl, and In Se-young, the brown-haired girl, kneel on the track, looking exhausted and worried. A close-up shows the black-haired boy's legs and hand as the baton falls, with the narration stating, "Class 2 crosses the finish line," followed by a confused, "Huh." Yoon-young, the brown-haired girl, looks distressed, quietly mentioning Nam-hoi to her friend, asking what's wrong. And Se-young explains she felt sudden pain in her ankle earlier while running. She brushes it off as just a slight tingle that should be fine, but then gasps, "Huh," as a hand touches her. A flash of light appears as Nam-hoi-yeol, the black-haired boy, lifts on Eunyoung, who looks shocked and cries out. Kwon So-hee, the red-haired girl, exclaims in disbelief at the sudden turn of events, while the surrounding students question whether it's really Southeast and Hoya, all of them shocked. Eunyoung blushes in embarrassment, shouting at the black-haired boy carrying her to put her down quickly. But he calmly reassures her not to worry. Nam-hoi-yeol, the black-haired boy, promises Eunyoung that he'll take her to the nurse's office immediately, urging her to stay calm. She looks stunned and asks in disbelief. Whi-young, the brown-haired girl, hides her face in embarrassment, feeling dizzy as she protests, demanding to know what he means by relax and how she even looks right now.